Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure now.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call the Bruce County Highways Committee to order for our Thursday, June 15th meeting. We'll welcome everyone. And the first thing on our agenda this afternoon is that we need to remind everyone to declare any pecuniary interest that you may have on today's agenda. You can do so if and when the matter arises. And the next item on the agenda then, we have a couple of action items today, and the first one is to deal with the Big Irwin Bridge, and we'll ask our engineer to report on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This matter deals with unbudgeted a small amount of work. You recall that we finished the Big Irwin Bridge last year. There were a couple of ongoing efforts that we need to finish off in 2017. One being the final review of the mussel relocation that we undertook. The second issue was to revisit some plantings that we had done last year and to reestablish those along the shoreline. And finally, we're getting some minor invoices from our consultants concerning the coordination of some last items, generally issues with respect to the sensitivities like mussels or plantings.
Okay, Brian, thank you. The recommendation is that we transfer $10,000 from the capital bridge reserves to the capital Big Irwin Bridge account be approved. Any mover for that motion? Moved by Wolf, seconded by Bob. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. We're on to tender summary attached. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got 4 items to report on, 3 of which require a contract. And so before you are some granular for a road job, we'll see more later in information items about County Road 1, both the item 1710, 1712, pulverizing and addition of granular A, and our paving in Lucknow, tender 1711.
Okay, the recommendation is the warden and clerk be authorized to sign the following tender contract as per section 13.2.13 of the County of Bruce Purchase and Procurement Policy, and 1710 is Granular A, Bruce Road 1, and 1711 Hot Mix, Bruce Road 86, Lucknow Urban, and 1712 Pulverizing, Bruce Road 1. Any discussion? Oh, I need a mover for that recommendation. It's been moved by Ann, seconded by Milt. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thank you. Correspondence, Brian?
The warden received some correspondence that was passed on to us from Mr. Pratt concerning some efforts on County Road 9 this year. As you're aware, we've got scheduled hot mix on the paved shoulders between Highway 6 and the South Hill in Colpoy, and then a rehabilitation of County Road 9 from the North Hill of Colpoy, including paved shoulders, to the Purple Valley Road. And Mr. Pratt had made some observations concerning that. And I was going to rely on my learned colleague, planning director, to assist me in a response.
Brian, I just want to thank you for looking into this and responding to Mr. Pratt. He is a constituent of mine, so I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions on this correspondence? Thank you, Brian, for that. And we'll move on then to item 4, which is a couple items for information. Paved 2017 paved road capital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have the map that identifies the 2017 work that has a start work at on County Road 1 at Highway 9. We have not shown here the realignment work that we've started this week. So the department has stripped the topsoil on the south side of the creek and moving to the north side of the creek, and then we'll start the earthwork. And separate from that is we've done the pulverizing from Highway 9 up to Kingarth. So you'll see 3 road sections that the department will iteratively undertake some work on, pulverize at granular, and do it start from south to north. And so you will see some interference with traffic over the course of the summer as we do the realignment of County Road 1 down at Kinloss, as well as pulverize, add granular, and pave all the way from Highway 9 to County Road 20. Just for your information, for people to be aware if they see the activity when they're in the area.
We've certainly done a lot of work in the last few years down in that area. It's unbelievable. But anyways, on to information.
Needed, I think,
Oh, okay, yeah.
if I may speak.
And the another information item, Brian, is to deal with the Wyerton shop.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a bit of an update of where we stand in the Wyerton shop. As you're aware, or to bring to your attention, that our original budget on the Wyerton shop was $1.655 million that we had established back in August last year. As we moved, what we had done is, you're aware we had the fire in June. We did some investigation. We did some boreholes. We came up with a variety of plans. We looked at all kinds of different sites. We concluded that we would rebuild on the same site. We engaged a contractor for the building, and we acknowledged that we had been on that site in the past and we removed some contaminated material. But the boreholes gave us a confidence that it wasn't that extensive. Mind you, perchance we should have bought lottery tickets at the same time, because we did not encounter the boreholes did not encounter what we found. So we found a substantial amount of continued contaminated material, and where it wasn't contaminated, we found that the site probably was rock and then received a whole bunch of fill. And it was very, very poor material that had to be removed, especially when you're building 20-foot high retaining walls on top of it. So long story short, we spent substantially more money than we expected on contaminated material. So we have reevaluated where we stand, and on the second page of the report, we identify that we expect that while we have sufficient funds for 2017, by the time we're done the project will no longer be a $1.655 million project, be a project closer to $2 million, a little over $2 million. I'm hoping to put a report, I'm in the process of putting a report concerning the funding of this together as we speak right now. We've met with the insurance company again and again and again, and their contribution is now firming up as to what we expect from the insurance company. And we can identify that at our July 6th meeting. And yes, naturally, Mr. Chairman, we've got the pictures of where we stand to date. Again, if we recall, as we acknowledged that we could not build the entire structure at once because we had our sand dome and salt shed very close to where you see the picture right there. So it was removed this spring. Underneath the remainder of the building was removed the contaminated material and any unsuitable material, and so it's been backfilled, and now we're ready to put on the balance of the building by the end of August in order that we put the material for this winter in the next part of the building. So this is the shop that you see, and right beside it for about another 60, possibly 80 feet is the sand salt storage facility. So it was recognized last summer that we couldn't build the entire site because it housed our material for last winter. So it was a two-stage process, being the shop as you see, and then the storage, which is about to start. I'm guessing in the next month, to have finished by the end of August. So, Mr. Chairman, it's disappointing to note that we're going to be over the total project budget. We're within our means for 2017, yet we're going to have to budget more funds in 18 and 19 to complete the job.
Okay, well, Janice, did you?
I was gonna say, so the whole thing it's kind of behind, right? Because it was supposed to be completed last winter, like at the, I'm trying to recall, because I believe that we waived the RFP process for some things so that we could speed up the process and get it done in time for winter maintenance. Because I know I had some constituents who had businesses that wanted to bid on parts of that building that were knocked out because we waived that, because we were expediting the build, but we're a year behind.
If I-
Somewhat? Is that kind of right?
If I can offer, no, the contract we entered with the contractor, makes sense, is that he would build this part this year, last year, and that he would build the next half this year. Like, it was understood we couldn't put the whole building up at once. Because again, our sand dome and salt facility, both for yourselves and ourselves, were underneath the envelope of where the rest of the building's going. So we knew that last summer.
I'm probably reversed with the buildings. You're right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we're on plan.
Yeah.
And we have had no extras to the contractor doing the building because he understood. And quite frankly, we took the risk of uncertain materials under the building away from them.
Right.
Yeah, because, you know, we had been to the site beforehand, you know, there's a history. There had been a history on the site. It was a public works site, and practices today are very different than practices 10, 20, 50 years ago. So, and we unfortunately encountered a lot of material. I think 2,100 tons of material went to Sarnia. We tendered, and material was hauled to Sarnia for an average price of $42 a ton, including tipping in Sarnia. So, and that represented a cost of about $95,000 just to dispose of the contaminated material from the site. And so the balance is the unsuitable material that we encountered, plus putting all the material back in to have an engineered fill upon which to put those big walls. Again, to put those big concrete walls. So again, as we mentioned, the building contract was for $1,080,000, and that has not changed. We've received no extras, and they're progressing with the work as they expected. And again, as I mentioned, we took the risk of offering them a foundation upon which to pour that concrete, both walls and floor. And we've done this before because we get a much tighter price from a contractor when they're dealing with their expertise, which is a building, and taking away the uncertainty of what the material beneath it is like.
One more quick question. So of this, the cost, the $2 million, was a substantial amount or all of that covered by insurance? I can't recall.
No.
What percentage was covered by?
The number to right now, we understand, is going to be $480,000 of the $2 million. But then again, we recall we're getting a very different animal than what we lost. Okay, we lost a shop that was probably a half that size. And by the time we're finished, we will consolidated all of our on-site storages into the other half of the new building. And we're going to have a site that's got storm scepter on to ensure that the water coming out of this whole site, the 1.6 acres, is going to be treated before it goes off-site. We've got oil separators before it goes into your sanitary. We've got a 2017 building and facility that was a 1950s facility. So, whereas a good point is in Lucknow, I think we spent approximately $2 million. So the overall costs are similar. This building is a bit smaller because it's got 2 bays, and in Lucknow they've got 3 bays. So it's a bit of a smaller building. The storage is identical as it is in Lucknow. It was a challenging site. It's a very small site. You know, again, we'd done the review last summer to determine if we should go elsewhere. But you can only imagine what it would be like siting a brand new public department site, storage facility and trucks and whatnot without the appropriate zoning. This had the zoning. To go and put a zoning on another greenfield site would not be we would still be doing zoning on official plan amendments right now. We'd be contested, we'd have neighbors, we'd be in an urban envelope, and we couldn't find anything. So we moved ahead on that site. And with it came the history of both MTO, I think, before us, as well as our own practices from 50 years ago, which were not the current day practices. So we had on the site what you would expect, yes.
The vehicle replacement was separate from the 480 on the building?
Yes, it
That's
was.
two different entities?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for that update, Brian. It's been a huge, quite a challenge, but you're just about seeing it through, so.
So
Do what now, Brian?
we do have a report for July 6th that will identify how to fund equipment and housing for 2018, and this will be included.
Okay.
So we're prepping that. We're just bringing you up to date on where we stand with this building and our expected costs.
Excellent. Anything else, Brian?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Nothing, hearing nothing further than our next meeting is on July the 6th in beautiful downtown Ripley, Ontario. I have a motion to adjourn, moved by Ann, second by Robert. Sorry, Kelly, were you on?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to advise committee members that we have extended invitations for the July 6th meeting to the two students in Bruce County who received gold and silver at the All Canada awards. One was for precision machining and the other was for small engines. So to recognize the two students, the individual with small engines, he received the gold medal, and the precision machining was a silver medal for all of Canada. So I think it's a big deal. Yeah.
So having heard that, we're adjourned.